The next topic is ecotourism and recreation. We have Dustin Drew here. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in biology from the University of Pittsburgh, Johnstown. He's the park manager for Moraine and McConnell's Mill State Parks. He's been working with the state park since 1998, and he's going to talk about ecotourism.
Well, hi, everybody. Thanks for having me today. I'm happy to be here to talk to you. As was mentioned, I've been asked to talk to you about outdoor recreation, ecotourism to some extent, and specifically the economic impact that that can have. So we'll get started. I do have some slides to share with you, some numbers. Before I get too far, I do want to thank Butler County Tourism Visitor Bureau and specifically Paula, who's running around here today, for developing this PowerPoint for me. I gave a little bit of insight and she really ran with it and did a great job. And for those of you who don't know, the film that was just shown, that's Ian Smith, was the star and narrator of that. He has a company by the name of Surf's Up and does do guided tours at Moraine and a couple other locations in the area, and really is a great example of ecotourism and the sustainability that should be incorporated into that. That was a film that the Tourism Bureau helped him develop last year, and I know has been on the web for some time, and we've got a lot of great feedback from that and some great publicity for the park. So if we want to look at outdoor recreation, we'll start within the state in Pennsylvania, and you'll see some numbers there. It does have an impact. It's a viable economic engine in itself. 21.5 billion in consumer spending, impacts to jobs, and we'll sort of look at that in a wider perspective as well with some of the other slides. Taking a national look, 646 billion spent on outdoor recreation. I was actually surprised to see it so high up amongst some of those other large industries. So there's definitely an interest out there. There's definitely a market, so to speak, for outdoor recreation. Looking at the other side of that, not just the spending, but the impact on jobs. 6.1 million American livelihoods depend on outdoor rec. So again, fairly high up there with a lot of other probably more traditional industries you'd associate with job making. Again, that $646 billion number for nationwide spending on outdoor recreation, and a description, that's all encompassing. So when they do these economic impact studies, it's not just what they spend to get into an amusement park. It's that whole trip, that whole experience, and that all relates. And normally or commonly, the outdoor recreation is that destination point that draws them and creates that trip. See at the bottom there, 53% at least of residents in PA participate in outdoor recreation. So a lot already do. We see that obviously at our state parks, but there's still quite a bit who maybe need a draw in, a connection. Looking more specifically at the county, fairly nice trend, some nice numbers there in traveler spending, so not just outdoor rec, but travelers in general. Obviously, Butler County Tourism has done a great job, has made a great impact in the county, and I think being a member and being involved with them, I think they do a fantastic job. And again, the flip side of that, not just the spending, but the job impact and the employment opportunities that then provides in the county. And a nice upward trend there the last several years. Again, a testament, I think, to the county and the tourism and the resources here. we look at travel spending broken down a little bit within the county, see recreation is a pretty nice slice of the pie. I'd certainly take that slice. That's a Dustin-sized slice. A big impact and a big chunk of the pie, I guess you'd say, within the county on travel spending. Again, a testament, I think, to the resources and the destinations we have here. So we've shown, to some extent, some of the numbers, some of the reasons why we already know that the outdoor recreation industry is there. We want to talk a little bit more now about the assets that we have, the resources, and the opportunities maybe that some of them hold. We'll start with Moraine, because that's the one I know best. I might be a little biased towards it, I'll admit. You can see there 17,000 acres, just under 17,000 acres. 2 million visitors annually is what the Tourism Bureau always uses. It is usually slightly under that, but if we take Moraine and McConnell's Mill together, which we manage as one unit, it's awfully close to 2 million people a year. Outstanding example of environmental engineering, reclaiming the land. Yes, Moraine really in itself is a success story in conservation. It was, people don't know the history. The lands that now make up Moraine were, I will say, in a much worse state for the most part prior to the park being there. There was a lot of resource extraction many years ago before the regulations and responsibilities that are here today to to take care of the environment were in place. So there were oil wells in the early days of oil wells. There were deep mines and strip mines and quarries, railroad tracks that the beds are still there in some areas of the park. So there was a lot of activity in the area, a lot of impact to the environment. Much of the land that wasn't impacted was sort of marshy, swampy type of land. Not great for development, good habitat. We like that kind of habitat as conservationists, but it really wasn't attractive for a lot of other purposes. So as the manager, I still meet people occasionally and hear stories of families with ties to that land. And yeah, there was some eminent domain involved. Some families were scorned, so to speak, that the park was developed because their land was taken. Or maybe they weren't as compensated as they felt necessary. But if you look at it today, it is quite a success story of what can happen to blighted land, so to speak, impacted land, and how it can make a turnaround. Major event, regatta at Lake Arthur. That is one of our major events, probably one of the most significant. A 2-day event, just had its 20th anniversary this past year, this past August. And we draw in anywhere between 15,000 and 20,000 people over those 2 days. So again, if we're looking at outdoor recreation, which is the key to that event, it's called a regatta, but it really focuses on almost all the recreation that you can do at Moraine. A lot of free demos. We get a lot of partner groups coming in offering their services to get people out and connected and to see what they can do at Moraine and Lake Arthur. And of course, all those people are traveling, are buying food, are getting gas. That's where a lot of those impacts come in. They're getting out, they're experiencing the outdoors, but they're still contributing to the overall economy. Some other events we do have that I think are worth mentioning, not necessarily listed on here, but we have a Glacier Ridge Trail Run that's in its 6th year or so. And that's an event in May where people come out and run on our trails, the North Country Trail specifically, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. A very successful event, draws several hundred runners out on a May weekend, which is often cold and rainy. And they run excuse me, anywhere between 30 and 50 miles on the trails. There are some relay events, but a lot of those folks do 50 miles of trail run that morning. So it's, again, attracting people from outside the area, using the resource as that destination point. And the great part about that event is many of the proceeds come back to the park through our friends groups who help put on the event. And then we reinvest that in the trails and trail maintenance to keep it more sustainable, which is an important factor in outdoor recreation and ecotourism. You'll see some of the details of Moraine, and if you're not familiar with Moraine or any of our state parks, I'd encourage you to go to our website. All this information is on there, and a lot of the other assets, outdoor venues that we're going to look at here. If you go to Butler County Tourism's website, I know they have links to all of those. So I will not bog you down with the details of everything that we offer, although I will add that one thing that attracted me to come and bid on the opportunity to manage Moraine and McConnell's Mill was the wide variety of outdoor recreation that is offered there. I mean, between the two parks, basically any recreational opportunity that state parks offer is offered amongst one of those two. So from a management perspective, that's challenging at times, but also very rewarding. And very interesting, I guess, to try and balance all those interests. I mentioned the North Country National Scenic Trail. So again, looking at more national level, this is a trail, a hiking trail that runs through 8 states, and I believe there are plans to extend that even further into the New England states. Right now, one end in North Dakota, the other one in New York, and I think they want to get into Vermont, if I'm not mistaken. So we're lucky enough at Moraine and McConnell's Mill. The North Country Trail runs through both of those parks. And it, again, as part of that much larger trail, it actually runs up through Jennings as well. So the 3 state land entities that are right here around Butler County, in and around Butler County, all share that North Country National Scenic Trail interest and connection. We do have some backpacking shelters along the trail at Moraine, and I know outside of our parks there's other opportunities for overnight. So this trail currently is not quite as popular as the Appalachian Trail, although it is longer, or it will be longer once it's complete. There's still some gaps. It doesn't get the through hiker atmosphere that the Appalachian Trail does or has. It doesn't have that reputation yet, but I think it certainly presents the opportunity and may develop that way in the future. There are towns along the trail I know that are becoming more interested in serving as a trail town, so to speak. Wampum does that now to some extent, but stretching through 8 states, there's obviously more opportunities for that, and probably some right here within the county. Again, just mentioning some of the places that scenic trail stretches through. Yeah, that's an overlook at Moraine. Jennings Environmental Education Center is another state land entity within Butler County. So it's part of the state park system, managed separately, much more stronger focus on environmental education. Not quite as large, but just as significant in my eyes. Has some very special environments to it, specifically the prairie ecosystem that's offered there due to some of the glacial influence that occurred over the years. And certainly Celebrate the Bloom is the event they have. Several hundred people drawn in each year in, I guess it's in August now. It used to be in July. Is it July still? Thank you, Becky. Again, some of their numbers, I know I'm falling a bit behind, so I'll keep moving here. Todd Nature Preserve managed by the Audubon Society of Western PA. We have Glade Run Lake, who has seen a restoration effort here the last couple years. That's a Fish and Boat Commission property, and I know there's a local conservancy involved with that now that helped restore that lake and present some opportunities in the southern end of the county. You can see there, they've done some economic impact, obviously, some studies, $1.2 million annually to the local economy just from Glade Run Lake. Butler-Freeport Community Trail. A Rais-to-Trail is a great opportunity for a town or a county to be able to tie in that outdoor recreation atmosphere and opportunities. We've seen that statewide. Being involved, I've managed different state parks around the state, and our sister Bureau of Rec and Con does a lot of grant opportunities for Rais-to-Trails. So I've seen that develop in different areas. Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, out on the eastern side of the state, had a Rais-to-Trail that Delaware and Lehigh National Heritage Corridor, a much bigger entity, but part of that ran through Jim Thorpe and Lehigh Gorge State Park. And the atmosphere in Jim Thorpe and the way they were able to embrace the trail and take advantage of it was really opened my eyes to the opportunities that these trail towns, so to speak, can take advantage of and benefit from outdoor recreation. Preston Park ties to Moraine there through Frank Preston. I won't get into who that is or how he's tied to Moraine, but if you don't know, I'd encourage you to find out. It's an interesting story. Polly Shaw, a longtime volunteer of Moraine and McConnell's Mill, wrote a book about Moraine not too long ago through Arcadia Publishing and explains it very well in that publication. So hiking trails there, ponds, woodland areas, there's a lot offered in that somewhat tiny space of about 100 acres. Again, another Audubon Society location. I've actually, unfortunately, never visited this location, so I can't speak to it too much, but I have heard great things about it. I do know the habitat offered there is great for birding and for nature walks and things like that. And there's other waterways, so we didn't get into boating quite as much, but there are whitewater opportunities within the county, and maybe right next door at McConnell's Mill, Slippery Rock Creek, we have whitewater boating, kayaking mostly. You saw Ian's video. Ian actually does whitewater stand-up paddleboarding, which in my eyes is kind of crazy, but he seems to enjoy it. He's actually won awards, and there's a national following and building happening with that sport specifically. So again, with the great resources we have and assets we have, comes opportunities. I also didn't get into the community parks much, but you'll see a host of them there. And I know there's more than that, but these are some of the more significant ones maybe. Cranberry Township has quite a park system. Alameda is a great resource within Butler. And this is an activities chart. You can find that in Butler County Tourism's guide as well, with all the offerings within the county. So you can see quite a bit already, maybe some opportunities for more development down the road. And a nice shot, a clip from the video. Very true words there. And what I'll add to that is, with ecotourism, with outdoor recreation, sustainability is key, and I think I'd be remiss as a land manager if I didn't speak to those words. But we can't exploit the environment. We can show it off, showcase it. We can get people out and connected to it, and we can actually build a lot of. The word escapes me right now. People get connected to it by using it, and then they want to fight for it and help it. So it is important to get people out, but it has to be done carefully with the protection and conservation in mind. And that's truly important. Any definition of ecotourism that I looked up researching this always involved conservation or sustainability as a key factor to making sure that it's offered for years to come. That's what I had. So thanks again.